In this video, we're going to be going over the use of the complex profile. Complex profile is actually a very powerful tool that allows you to accomplish a lot with minimal effort. So the first thing we're going to do is go to the complex profile, which is here, and the profile manager. And when we go to this window, you can see that there are already several in here. Let me just go to this one. So this is the name of the profile. This button would create a new one. This does a duplicate. This renames. This deletes. In this case, I want to do an edit. So we get this dialog box that we're going to work with over here. So each complex profile has several layers associated with it. They're not layers in the sense of the layers that are used normally in ArchiCAD. These are just different elements of the complex profile. So these are all, this is the actual construction. So all of the cross sections are going to be drawn here. If I do any line work to annotate or work with this, that's going to be on this layer. My stretch modifiers, all of these are different ways to make the complex profile editable during the use of the complex profile. We're not going to worry about those right away, but let's go back. So this is under construction. This is pine. This section right here represents pine because that's the building material that's being used. We're going to ignore the modifiers in this video. But here's the important part. So this is considered a finish. So when you do the model, you can show core or finish or other. So this is considered a finish. Anything that is made of a fill like this is going to be extruded when we implement the use of this profile base, mid, main. If we want to override the surface, we can change the surface to something else so that when this extrude, it's going to be insulation bubble wrap instead of the pine that is the building material. So we can do that. Here's just some different line types and colors so that you can modify the way it's going to appear. If you have different elements touching, this is going to be the line types that are used where those intersect. So let's go ahead and save this, and let's just jump into our plan view, and we're going to use a beam, which is usually the one I like to use. And now when I draw this and I go to 3D, there it is. And this has the bubble wrap because we did the override. And the core is from the building material, which was the pine. So that's why we're seeing that pine. So the bubble wrap's a little translucent, so we're actually able to see inside. If we go edit and we select this so we can modify, and we remove those, we save it, go back to 3D. Now we have straight up pine for our section, and this works. This beam works nicely. It heals, so we can frame into it. If we want to make this corner, we can intersect them. So this beam works really well for trim and molding. Anything like that, it does a fantastic job. We have all the benefits of modifying these with our pet palette. So we can do curve base, lots of different options. So that is, a quick rundown of how to use this. So it's basically just creating fills. The other things to note are we can draw multiple elements. So if I create another fill and I save this, so now I have a built up section like so. You can really do anything you want. Just remember to save. That's important. Another thing to make sure you're paying attention that you have to tell ArchiCAD what you want to use this for. So if you want to use it for walls, for beams, columns, elements of the new railing object, parts for library parts, cross sections for library parts. I have a couple objects that I've programmed, and I will do that in another video. Usually these two. Now, my personal opinion, there's some people that want to put everything into the wall profile. I do not use profiles and walls because I find that you end up having to have too many different cross sections to get all the different situations covered. So it's much better to have a conventional wall, put a crown molding and a base, and add all of those as separate elements. It's really it's closer to the way you build, and it is much more understandable to when you're working with the complex profile. The modifiers is something I will cover in another video, but really that's it. I think the only other important thing to consider is this origin. So wherever this origin is, that's going to be the way that the reference line of the complex profile. So that's important. So with base, I would want to put it here because that's the corner of the wall and the floor. Crown molding, I may want to, let's see if I have a crown. Here's a crown. Notice I put my reference line up here in the corner because that's the intersection of the wall and the ceiling. It's just easier to model in 3D this way. So once I have that, so this is crown master. I couldn't, if I did have some walls, and I go to 3D. These are not very attractive walls. Let's go ahead and make it gypsum board. And I could put a ceiling. I'll use the magic wand. Pull this out. Also make this chipboard. We wander into the room. And I use my beam. Oops, wrong one. We want that to be the base. Okay, so now There's a piece of crown. Now what I want to do is just draw one piece, copy the properties, delete it. Then if you go into 3D, not what I want to do. Let's see. Try that again. I want to put the base here, copy those properties. Not sure why it's putting it there. Let's see. Control A, delete. Anyways, let's just go ahead and roll it around. I can group these, Control G. And then I can bring, groups are suspended, turn it off. And then once I've got that set, I can go around the whole house in literally a matter of minutes and get all of the molding in. I could go in here and put the base in. Notice that the direction that I draw the cross section in the complex profile controls which direction I need to draw, which side of the line it's going to be on. So I like the way I did the crown molding better because that's the default direction of the magic wand. And there's the base. Put a slab in there and you got something. So that's a very handy way to do moldings very quickly, and it dramatically improves the overall appearance of your project in just a few minutes. You can go from something that looks fairly bland and incomplete to something that looks highly detailed, and that's through the use of the complex profile.